What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be doing the May reading wrap up. For those that don't know, I absolutely love fiction and I have a slight addiction to it. And this May I decided to do a combination of rereads as well as graphic novels. And if that sounds like something fun that you guys want to hear about, definitely stick around for the video. It's reading time here at J-Bay's Corner. I am Jaya. I put out videos every Wednesday and Sunday on bookish related content. And every once in a while we'll have a smattering of randomness here and there, weddings that we attend, travel blogs, things like that. But for the most part, it is a reading channel. For those of you that are new, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for clicking on the video. Thank you for hanging out with us. For those that are returning, I cannot thank you enough for being here and for all of your support. This would not be possible without you guys. And thank you so much for staying around and supporting the fiction addiction. Without further ado, let's jump into the selection of novels that were read for the month of May. First and foremost, I just want to say graphic novels actually take longer than I thought to read them because I was very easily distracted by the imagery in the book. And it's also one of those things where you can't do like an audio and a physical and like multiple things at the same time. It's very much like you have to pay attention. And some of the books I felt were very easy to get through because I already knew the characters and the storyline. Others, it took me a little bit longer to get into, but I did notice that the moment I was sunk into the book, I was hooked. So I definitely see myself doing another month or even another theme or another video where we just do graphic novels again. But this one was incredible. So I started off with Rumiko Takahashi's Inuyasha series. This is the first three scrolls or the first three books in the one large VIZBIG volume. This is the initial story following the story of Kagome and Inuyasha when they first meet, about her falling through the Bone Eater's well and finding herself in feudal Japan. For those that don't know, this was also turned into a TV show that used to show up on Adult Swim on Cartoon Network. But the story essentially is following Kagome, who is a young woman who is living in modern Japan. She is a teenager, she's going to high school, she just wants to pass her exams, and lo and behold, she finds herself basically traveling through time and space when she accidentally falls into a Bone Eater's well, where she discovers that she is actually the reincarnation of a dead priestess, and she has the Shikon jewel, which is basically a jewel of all souls. Anyone who wishes upon this jewel basically has the ability to strengthen themselves, and this is what brings her back into feudal Japan. In that process, she meets Inuyasha, who is a demon that was trapped under a spell for 50 years, and he and her basically tag team with a bunch of other crew members in order to successfully find / destroy the Shikon jewel before it falls into the hands of the wrong demon. Throughout the course of these novels, we also find out that the primary villain of the series is Naraku, and they also meet many other demons along the way. In this first scroll, we are introduced to Inuyasha and Kagome. We also have a chance to meet Shippo, who is absolutely adorable. He's a little child fox demon. And in the first three scrolls, we are basically following the story of how Kagome finds herself in the new realm, how the stone ends up being destroyed, and the initial story of how Inuyasha and Kagome become a team. Very, very, very well done. I love the imagery. Like, just look at how beautiful these images are. Like, they're just so well done. I also love the story of Shippo when he becomes introduced into the story. I just found this to be so much fun, and it's very, very, very close to the actual cartoon depiction of the show as well, which I do happen to have the entire series. So definitely enjoyed book one. I then ended up picking up book 2 in the series, which was also phenomenal. Actually, I think this is the one where Shippo's introduced, and we get to meet the little fox demon, which was so cute. We get to follow the story of a vengeful wraith spirit in this. We get to follow the story of a demon spider. We also get to follow the story of them getting trapped in the Witch Urise's trap, where the previous priestess that Kagome is a reincarnation of is brought back to life, but she's only held together by vengeful spirits and earth and bone and dust. And so that was a really interesting twist on the story as well. As the book proceeds, we also get introduced to another main character that we will be following throughout the series, and that is Moroku the monk, who is basically a very kind-hearted but lecherous monk who also has a family curse that is going to eat him alive unless he destroys Naraku. So that one was also a lot of fun to read. This entire novel was highly entertaining, and again, very true to the actual script of the story. And then we have book number 3. Now in this one, we are finally introduced to Sango, who is the last of the group. She is basically a demon hunter, and we get to follow their story as well. We also see the continued relationship growth between Inuyasha and Kagome, and we also get to see Kikyo and Inuyasha's unrequited love story that has built into hatred and anger, and see them going through that journey as well as the book proceeds. And we are also introduced to Kilala, who is a cat demon who belongs to Sango, that basically acts as a little baby cat whenever she is in her little form, and then whenever she is in her full form, she becomes a full-fledged cat demon. Overall, it was so much fun to read this, and it was so much fun to like see all the beautiful depictions and the artwork within this. I think Rumiko did a phenomenal job, and I can't wait to complete reading the physical series. Again, very, very close to the books as well. So I thoroughly enjoyed rereading these and enjoying a piece of my childhood. Next up, I ended up reading Marjane Satrapi's The Persepolis. I only got through one book. This has all 4 books in it. It is basically following the story of a young girl who grew up in Iran and her experience during the tumultuous history that they have recently had between all the different regimes and the wars that were taking place in Iran. We get to see the story of how her and her family basically survive during this very transitory, violent phase. And we also get to see how insanity basically takes over with the different regimes that take control. We also get to follow the story of her escape and eventually her settling down in France as she builds a new life for herself. This book was absolutely beautiful and heartbreaking. I can understand why it's taught in colleges. I can understand why it has such an important role in our history. And I just wanted to say that it's so sad that I just found out that the author herself has recently passed away at a very, very young age, within her 50s, after the death of her husband, who was the love of her life. And it is just really, really beautiful, I think, to have been able to read this book and commemorate her in that, and also be able to get a better understanding of what life looked like in Iran during this period of time. Beautiful, beautiful book. I think everyone should pick this book up. I think everyone should read it. I think this is a solid 5-star read, and I can understand why it is a text that's actually studied now, because there's just so much to learn from this book in terms of world history as well. The next set of graphic novels that I ended up reading was Lore Olympus. I ended up getting through volumes 1, 2, and 3. This is following the story of Hades and Persephone from their initial meetup all the way to their wedding. We are also following the gods of Olympus throughout this series, and I think the thing that I loved about these books and the way that Rachel Smythe has written them is that they, or Smith, I don't know how she pronounces her last name, but the thing I love about these books is like the gods actually have very human characteristics to them. She also uses color to her advantage as well, and really depicts the various characters with the color coding that they deserve, which I thought was really interesting, which is very pertinent to who they are as characters. I love the fact that Minthi is red. I love the fact that Hades is blue. I love that Persephone is a beautiful pink. I love that Hera is gold, Zeus is purple, Apollo is purple. I just think there's a lot to be said about the color choices that were used throughout the course of this book. I think it also delves into some very difficult concepts and topics. Obviously, Greek mythology is filled with very discomforting stories about the gods and their behavior, especially towards women and mortals, as well as the other goddesses within the storylines. I think it also depicts a lot of men cheating and things like that, and obviously considering the violent nature of some of their crimes, rape and things like that. But I think it's handled very well in these novels. I like the modern twist to it as well. I like the fact that the gods have cars and they have pet dogs, and they have like offices and meetings and things like that, which I think is so funny. And I loved seeing the play on the various caricatures of these gods in a comic format. I absolutely adored this book. In the first book, we get to meet Persephone and Hades and their initial interaction. In book 2, it becomes more entertaining as we are basically following the story of Apollo and Persephone, which was heartbreaking, but we also get to see more of Persephone and Hades' interactions, as well as how she came to be in Olympus in the first place and why she's so innocent. We also get to see Hades kind of going through a moral dilemma of whether or not he should even feel comfortable about the fact that he's interested in a goddess who's so much younger than him. So lots of little things that were very cute. We also got to see a little bit more of Hera in this book. We also got to see a little bit more of Artemis, and we get a little bit more of Eris's story, which was very, very sweet with Psyche. So definitely a play on a lot of the Greek mythology. And then in the last book in the volumes that I read, this one was very fun because now Persephone is actually working for Hades. So it was very interesting to see that dynamic as well, with him as a boss and still being very respectful of her, and her kind of dealing with the dilemma of what happened to her and whether it was something that she wanted or didn't want. Really brings in the question of consent and what a woman may go through with that experience in a very tasteful way. I really, really enjoyed these books. I fully see myself completing the series. The last book in the series, number 11, is being released at the end of this year. And then I see myself binge reading through these for sure. They're very short, very fun reads, and they're easy to read as well. Because of the hardback nature of the books, however, I could only read them when I was at home. And considering we traveled as much as we did this past month and the number of weddings we had and dance practices and all these other things, I just didn't have as much time to read as I had hoped. So I'm very much excited to revisit these books and finish the rest of the series. Now, as I mentioned, one of the other things that I did end up doing this May was my rereads, and I always reread Harry Potter. For those that don't know, Harry Potter was kind of a defining moment in my life in childhood. Every year for my birthday, I either received the movie or the book, because they oftentimes released in June right around my birthday. And then I also ended up just falling in love with reading because of this series. And so because of that, I realized that with it being graphic novel season and with it being a time period where it kind of opened up my Audible listening abilities, I decided that I wanted to tackle Harry Potter's books 1 through 7 for the month of May. And I was able to successfully complete them. And I also got to enjoy these beautiful illustrated versions of the book. So we have up first The Sorcerer's Stone. For anyone who has not read Harry Potter, it is basically following the story of a young boy who is growing up in a very sad childhood. He has his uncle and aunt who have adopted him, and they absolutely dote on their son, and they treat Harry kind of like trash, essentially. He almost acts as a indentured servant in their household, and it's quite terrible. And then eventually on his 11th birthday, when he's wishing for a change, he finds out that he's actually a wizard, and he gets requested to come to Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Magic. And basically there, he, under the tutelage of Albus Dumbledore, as well as many other teachers, finally finds friends. And also, throughout the course of the series, learns more about how he became an orphan, how his parents died, and is basically forced to come face to face with his worst nemesis, Voldemort, with the entire series eventually ending on the final showdown between Harry and Voldemort. In this first book, we are following the story of the Sorcerer's Stone, which plays an important role in the series, and we also get to meet a bunch of different characters. Harry also realizes he's very good at the wizarding sport Quidditch, and we get to see him kind of delve into the world of Hogwarts, which absolutely sucks you in and steals your breath away with how amazing this school sounds. I think every single little kid that I knew that read Harry Potter wanted to go to the school at some point. They all wanted to be wizards or witches. And it just speaks to how beautiful this book is. It is a boarding school vibe. So the children all go to the castle and live at the castle and have the opportunity to visit their families during holidays. But Lovely, lovely book. And then this particular edition, which is illustrated by Jim Kay, actually has beautiful, beautiful illustrations throughout the course of the novel as well. So as you're reading it, you actually get to see beautiful pictures in the book. And I just felt like it was so appropriate with the illustrated version. We have pictures of when he gets his first letter. The one I showed you before is when he accidentally releases a boa constrictor at the zoo. We get to meet the Gringotts goblins. I mean, there's just so many different moments in this book that are just so beautifully done. Here we have all the ghosts of Hogwarts when he arrives at the school. Just so much fun, and I absolutely loved this illustrated edition. Then we have book number 2, which is the Chamber of Secrets. This is following the story of Harry and his friends when they arrive back at the school, and there is a secret chamber that has apparently been opened, which has a monster inside of it that is basically being released upon the unexpected students of the school and turning them into petrified stone. And eventually they can come back with the power of the mandrake that they are currently planting and eventually will harvest in order to create a potion that will bring these stoned people back to life. But before the school is shut down for good, Harry and his crew of friends must figure out where the Chamber of Secrets is and stop the culprit before it's too late. Again, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful depictions in this book. I absolutely adored like the imagery that we got in this book. It was just so much fun to look through these beautiful pages. Like, look at how stunning that depiction of the magical car is as it's flying into Hogwarts and following the train. We have the this is when they accidentally find him in Nocturne Alley. Then we have the scene where Ron's wand is broken, and so he ends up basically spewing out slugs as he's trying to curse Malfoy. We have the Death Day party with Nick. Just so many great moments in this book, and I cannot explain enough how much fun it was to read this. This is Hermione in the Polyjuice Potion turning her into a cat by accident. Just in general, so much fun. Here is the picture of the basilisk skin when they get down into the chamber. It's just so much fun to read. And I definitely think this is a great, great find. And Jim Kay did a phenomenal job with these illustrations. Book 3 is probably my favorite of all time. This is The Prisoner of Azkaban. This is basically following the story of Harry, and as he and his friends get back to Hogwarts, they also are introduced to an amazing teacher who also happens to be one of Harry's father's best friends. Throughout the course of this, it's a little less focused on Voldemort and more focused on Harry's past and his father's past and learning the story of Wormtail, Padfoot, Prongs, and Moony, and I absolutely loved this book. This is probably one of my favorites. In this book, Harry takes divination for the first time, which is the art of seeing the future and predictions. We also get to see him see his friend take every single class possible and basically be in 2 places at once, which is unheard of and magical, very interesting to read. Hagrid, who is the giant, half giant, who also happens to be one of their close friends and gamekeeper at Hogwarts, is finally offered the opportunity to teach for the first time, and he's taking magical creatures class, and they get to meet all kinds of interesting animals. We also have the prediction that Harry's gonna die and he's being stalked by an omen that is a giant black hellhound dog. So again, very interesting things happening throughout the course of this book. Absolutely awesome. I love the depiction of the night bus in this book. I also just think like the pictures are so great. This is when the Weasley family is found in Europe because they end up getting a massive amount of gold. Here is a picture of Aunt Marge being blown up by accident by Harry, which I thought was absolutely brilliant. Then we have in here, let me see if I can find some other great pictures. Scabbers and Crookshanks as they're being a cat and a mouse, basically. Just some great, great, great photos. Absolutely adore these illustrations, guys. They're just so well done. Madame Trelawney in all of her glory. Bless her heart, Trelawney. Let me just say. More of Scabbers and Crookshanks. I think this one was just awesome. I mean, look at that orange cat, man. Just look at that orange cat. Here we have some treats. Treatsy, treatsy, treats. Treatsy, treatsy, treats. Just such a well done illustrated copy of this book. I just think it's done so well. We have a picture of Hagrid's horrible, horrible brown suit and tie as he's about to go in and defend Buckbeak. I'm not going to tell you who Buckbeak is, so you guys actually read the book. But yeah, no, absolutely wonderful. Snape and the Patronus. Just wonderful, wonderful, wonderful copy of this book. Absolutely adored reading this lovely copy of Harry Potter. In book 4, Harry Potter unfortunately finds himself entered into a competition that he didn't want to be a part of. That is him competing against the of-age young men and women who have entered the competition from 2 other schools. We get to learn about the Quidditch World Cup, we get to watch the Triwizard Tournament, and we get to see some crazy things happen at the end where Harry once again faces his nemesis, Voldemort. Throughout the course of this story, you get a lot of really cool depictions of the various tasks that he has to overcome. You get to see the first friendship fight between Harry and Ron, which is heartbreaking, but also so well done. You really get to see that teenage angst in this book. We also see Harry developing his first formal crush at the beginning of this book. It obviously gets expounded in the next book, but this one was still very cute to see him find his first love interest, if you will. We get to see moments of the Yule Ball, which was so much fun. Overall, just a very well done book, and again, one of my all-time favorites. The very first time I ever read this book, I still remember I ended up climbing my aunt's tree in the backyard, and I just sat there and I would read for hours on end. It was just incredible. Here we have a depiction of the Riddle House right there on the front 2 pages. That's literally page 2, guys. Page 2 is that beautiful. Can you imagine? It's just phenomenal. I love it. And then here we have, of course, them at the campsite for the Quidditch World Cup. Again, absolutely stunning. And then we have even more crazy depictions throughout the course of this book. I just absolutely am so impressed by how beautiful these are. Here we have the dragons that they face in one of the tasks, which are just so cool. So cool. I love that depiction. It's just done so well. Here we have Harry with gillyweed swimming through the water as he's trying to complete his next task. I mean, just some crazy, crazy good illustrations. Here we have them in the graveyard. It's just phenomenal. Like, I mean, honestly, the depictions in these books are stunning, and it just added so much volume and so much flavor to Harry Potter for me, and I just absolutely loved it. Last but not least, we have Order of the Phoenix in these illustrated copies. There is a new one that is releasing in October that I'm very excited to get my hands on, but I believe this was the last one that was illustrated by Jim Kay, and then he has since passed the illustration on to someone else. In the Order of the Phoenix, we see Harry going through quite a bit in terms of teenage angst. No one believes him in terms of things that happened at the end of the previous book. We also get to see him go through his rebellious phase. We get to see the Dumbledore's army being created. Like, I mean, just so many great moments in this book. We get to see that toad of a woman, Umbridge. Let me see if I can find a picture of Umbridge. This is Grimmauld Place, guys. For those who know, they know. I mean, just so cool. So well done. So freaking well done. Like, I cannot explain how well done this book is. We have a chapter on Luna Lovegood, of course, which was absolutely excellent. Here, let me see if I can find the Thestrals. I loved this photo. Look at that. Harry meeting the Thestrals for the first time. Yeah. Harry meeting the Thestrals. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm like struggling because this book is so heavy. I'm trying to find a picture of Miss Umbridge. I'm trying to see. It's very hard to actually know exactly where these photos are. That is not helpful. Let's see. Oh, that was very pitchy. I'm sorry. Lost my voice. Oh, here we have Hagrid all beaten up by the giants. Gotta love that. Got to love that scene. Where is the photo of Umbridge? I know we have some here. Oh, this is great. This is Snape and Harry in occlumency lessons. Gotta love that. Ow! I just hit myself with the book, guys. That's what just happened, for those that didn't know. You know what? For the life of me, I can't find a photo of Umbridge. I give up. I'm sorry. I'm sure there's one there, and I will eventually find it. And I'm going to kick myself when I do find it, because I'm just going to be like, how do I show this to everybody? But, yeah. Let's see. Here we have the Centaurs and Grop. But yeah, overall, great book. I mean, great depictions. I just think these are done so well, and I really, really, really thoroughly enjoyed every single one of these. And then the other two books have not yet been released in that format, but I do have these beautiful rebound cover versions of these books. So this is the Half-Blood Prince, and this is the Deathly Hallows, which marks the end of the Harry Potter series. I thought these were so cool because these are actually older versions of the book that have been rebound in these like beautiful, beautiful bindings, and I just love the fact that the book actually feels old. It kind of reminds me, especially for the Half-Blood Prince, of Harry's potion book that he ends up finding, and it's actually an older copy that he has rebound with the new book's cover, because the original owner of the book that he finds comes up with little tricks and neat workarounds to basically make potions better than the instructions say, and it's very cute to see that scene. So this kind of reminds me of that. Overall, I just think Harry Potter is an experience that should be had by everybody. I can just say that regardless of when or how I read Harry Potter, every single time I find something new in them, every single time I enjoy them so much, and I absolutely adore this series. I will continue reading them well into adulthood, and I'm so looking forward to eventually sharing this with my children if my husband and I ever have any. And I strongly recommend anyone who has not read them, pick them up, read them. They literally transport you into a new world, and it's absolutely incredible. And I think that this series has become so much more than the author herself. I know there's a lot of controversy around J.K. Rowling, and I'm not saying that I support her views in any way, shape, or form. However, that being said, I do think this series means something way more to me than she ever will, and I will always have a soft spot towards her for creating this story, because I do think it's a worldwide phenomenon for a reason. And I think this series has touched the souls of so many different people and the hearts of so many people because of just the joy it brought for so many people throughout the course of their lives. And I feel like no matter what age you are, there's something you can gain from Harry Potter. Needless to say, this is a 7-star, 15-star, 20-star rated series for me. I absolutely adore this book, with the third one being my absolute favorite. And if you guys do end up reading them, let me know what you guys think as well. And that does bring me to the end of this video. For those of you that watched this video from start to finish, thank you for being here. Thank you for enjoying reading with me. And thank you for hearing my thoughts on all of these books. If you guys have read any of these, whether it be the graphic novels or the Harry Potter series, definitely let me know. I would love to know your thoughts on them. I would love to know if you guys have any recommendations that I should read. Leave the comments below. I love reading them. I love communicating with you guys. I love responding to them. After all, we're trying to create a reading community here. And for those of you that are returning, I cannot thank you enough for all of your support, all of your love, all of the time you guys take to watch these videos and the comments you guys leave. For those of you that are new, if you did enjoy the content of this video and you do want to continue being part of the bookish community that we are creating, definitely consider hitting that subscribe button and that notification bell. I would love to have you back for another video. And with that, I just want to say, wherever you guys are in the world, I hope you guys are getting plenty of time to rest, relax, read, and spend some quality time with your loved ones. I will catch you guys on the next video. Bye, guys.